Kirsten.
Hello, love. I'm Tom.
And Tom, can you tell me when you were born and a little bit about your life before the war?
Yes, dear. I was born on June the 17th, 1922, in Birmingham. When I reached the age of 5, I started school. I went to Oakley Road School, which is also in Small Heath. It's still there now. I was at Oakley Road School, I think, for about 18 months. And then I moved to St Benedict's Road School, again, that is in Small Heath. At 11 years of age, I took an examination for the grammar schools, and I was fortunate enough to pass the exam. So I went to King Edward's Grammar School at Camp Hill. I was there until I was 16. I left school in 1938, and I started work at a small jewellers and silversmiths in the jewellery quarter here in Birmingham as an office boy with a view to being management. The war started, of course, in 1939, and in 1940 I was conscripted. They brought an act in where conscription applied, and anyone from the age of roughly 19 to 20 had to register for the forces. I registered and expressed a wish to join the Royal Air Force as aircrew. I was sent home to wait for a few months, and then I was sent for an examination. I attended an examination course at Viceroy Close on Bristol Road here in just towards the city, and I passed the examination for aircrew, and I was called up with a view to being a pilot. I wished at that time to be a pilot, and I actually, when I joined the Air Force, I was actually sent on a pilot's training course, and I did about 10 hours flying on Tiger Moth aircrafts. I was flying. We were at a place called Hull, Brough, which is just outside Hull, Brough Aerodrome. But as I say, I did about 10 hours training on Tiger Moths. But unfortunately, I hadn't got the aptitude for flying. I failed. I did landings and takeoffs, but I actually failed on putting an aircraft into a spin and bringing it out. So they decided that I hadn't got the aptitude for it, and I couldn't be a pilot. But they remustered me to be a navigator.
What did a navigator have to do?
Our main job was to assist the pilots. The pilots were flying the aircraft, and it was our job to find our way to the targets and back again. That was basically the navigation.
What planes were you in, and what was it like to go out in one of these planes?
Well, actually, when I started doing my operations, I was flying on Mosquito aircraft, which was an aircraft. It was an aircraft. It was unique, really, in aircraft construction, because it was basically made of wood. The whole framework of the aircraft was wood, and the only part of the craft that was metal of any sort was the engines, and the rest of the aircraft was wood. But as I say, there was a pilot and navigator, just the two crew of us. But I had already passed out as a navigator, and in that navigation course, it actually took about 6 months. I did my course at RAF Jerby in the Isle of Man, and I was there for about 6 months doing the full navigation course, where we used Mercator's projections and various astro navigation and all this type of thing. It was a very extensive and comprehensive course. But when I was posted to Mosquitoes, really my complete course had actually been a waste of time, because flying in a Mosquito, all we had to do was map reading, basically. And it just simply came down to that. As I say, I feel myself that my navigation course was really a waste of time.
When was your first active posting?
I was actually posted, first of all, having passed out as a navigator, I was posted first of all to an aerodrome here quite close to Birmingham, Snitterfield, where there were three of us, three navigators who just passed out. We were posted to Snitterfield, basically to teach newly passed out pilots the rudiments of navigation. I was only there for about 6 months. 6 months. When a posting came through, they wanted an aircrew member for a posting out to Burma, and I was selected out of there were 3 of us there, and I was the one selected out of the 3. So I was posted immediately straight out to Burma.
What did you have to do in Burma?
Our main function was attacking communications, Japanese communications, anything to move, railways, trucks, anything to move, bombing ammunition dumps, and that sort of thing.
Was it dangerous?
Well, I suppose any sort of flying operation is dangerous to a certain extent. It was dangerous insofar as we had, I think when I joined the squadron, we had 24 crews, and we lost 7 of those 24 during the time I was with them. 7 out of 24, which is nearly a third of the crews we lost. I must say this, that I think only 2 of the crews were actually lost due to enemy action. The other five crews were lost due to failures in the aircraft. Engines cutting out during takeoff, and that was it. You had no chance. Engine cut off at takeoff. You had no chance of spinning. But of course, the aircraft weren't receiving the attention that the aircraft do that you fly today. They were looked after, well serviced, checked every few months, But in those days, the servicing was very limited, really.
How many missions were you involved in altogether?
34.
What happened to you at the end of the war?
When the war was over, as I say, I was out in Burma, and of course they had to get us back home. But of course, all the troops had got to come back home, all soldiers, sailors and airmen, so it took a fair amount of time to get people back. So I stayed out in Burma for about 9 months until I came back in August 1946, which was basically 12 months after the war finished.
You must have been out in Burma when they dropped the atomic bombs. What was that like?
Yes, I was out. I was still out there, obviously. As a matter of fact, I was in hospital when they dropped the atomic bomb. I'd gone down with a complaint called amoebic dysentery, and I'd been in hospital for about 10 days when they actually dropped the first atom bomb. Our reaction was of relief, I can tell you that, because the Japanese were very, determined fighters, and we could never see the end of the war, basically. I think if they hadn't dropped the atom bomb, we'd probably still been out there now. So it was with relief when we heard that they had dropped, and of course they surrendered immediately after the second one. It certainly was a shock. We didn't expect the war to finish as quickly as what it did, and we were very, very relieved, I can tell you that.
Tom, thank you. I really enjoyed talking to you today.
Well, thank you, Kirsten. I hope that what I've been able to tell you has enlightened you a little bit on what went on in the war. And can I tell you this, that believe me, there are no winners in wars. Let's hope we never get another war like that one. But it's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you.